Much for coming.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to talk about the subject for which we all share a passion, and that is innovation and transformation of biomedical research. Let me figure out how I push a button and eventually.
Where is he supposed to aim it? So why don't you just
No,
advance it?
it's not responding. Can we just, I've got four. Oh, here we go. Thank you. So it's not synchronized with this thing, but I should know my slides, so it'll work out. Things are changing in biomedical research, and there's a number of reasons why they're changing, and I'll quickly go through that. A lot of this you know already, but maybe there's some aspect of it that needs to be reinforced. The first point is a cost and timeline. It takes 15 years. We spent $100 billion per year in clinical research. And for a lot of people, this is just too expensive and too long. And patients especially are getting fed up. They're getting fed up both because they're being asked to wait for an outcome that will materialize if it does when many of them will be dead. They're also seeing things, a transformation taking place in the pharmaceutical industry that basically amounts to a narrowing of the industry's focus on fewer and fewer diseases. So a lot of patients are getting concerned, some desperate, that no one is really worrying about their diseases. And as a reaction, they're taking things in their hands. And they can because in the last few years, we've seen the emergence of a number of technologies that have done wonderful things to empower patients. You've heard about the biosensors. You may have seen the YouTube videos on plug-in devices that you put on your smartphone and that measure all kinds of physiological parameters. You can give yourself an electrocardiogram. You have all sorts of devices, some of which have been approved by FDA, that can do real data capture. And the end of that process is that patients have the capability, have the power to generate enormous amounts of high quality, inexpensive data about themselves. If you compare that with clinical trials where they are asked to visit a hospital once or twice a month for a battery of tests, it's just a new way to approach medical research and to conduct it. So they have all this data that is becoming available. Last month, Samsung launched, you can buy it on Amazon, several devices that you can carry and that will measure a number of those parameters. But increasingly, it's not just the heart rate and the blood pressure and the sleep quality and all that. It's also access to your genetic data with $1,000 genome. Increasingly, patient organization engage in tissue banking. The high resolution cameras that we have on our cell phone can be used and have been used to image the body, to image a particular aspect of the body. Phenotypic data, behavioral data, real life data, it all adds up to a growing data flows that are rich, far richer than the data we can typically collect in clinical trial. And they're also regulator friendly. They're regulator friendly because they are collected automatically with no human intervention. They are accurate. They have not been edited. And they can be used by regulators and will be used by regulators in the future, in my opinion, to inform them on what happens inside a patient after they take their pill. At the moment, they don't have that information. They have whatever monthly data is collected at the hospital, but in between those visits, they're left to scratch their head. Those novel new data flows, I think, will be enormously helpful to regulators to help them understand what happens minute by minute in those patients as they take their treatment. We also have new ways to aggregate and share that data through the cloud and through tools that have been, platforms that have been developed, a patient like me and a number of others. And we also have access, or easier access today, to about 3,000 drugs that have been approved and that can help a lot of diseases that need help and need it fast. So we've got a change in biomedical research with the emergence of new data flows, new tools that will eventually drive the development of new research methods. We also are seeing new attitude towards privacy and intellectual property. So all kinds of changes that, all kind of reason why those changes are taking place. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. So what can we expect from the cumulative effect of all that? The first thing we can expect is that regardless of what the naysayers may be saying, if the data exists, it will be used. Somebody will figure out a way to make sense out of it, to use it, and to use it to do good science. It will not be a randomized controlled trial, and it will not eliminate randomized controlled trial. RCTs are still the gold standard to do research, to test, a very rigorous way to test hypotheses, but they will benefit from the availability and analysis of these novel data flows. Scientists will be able to better understand maybe the etiology of the diseases. Those data flows can provide what is missing in medicine today, which is the pre-symptomatic natural history of many diseases. New hypotheses can be formulated that will help design better trials and get more out of those $100 billion that the clinical research costs us today. So RCTs will remain, but they will coexist with new research methods, and it will all be for the better. This being said, let's not kid ourselves. There's a lot of people who make a comfortable living today from the dysfunctional system that we've got, and so you can expect some resistance. But in fact, that's, in my view, why healthcare cannot be reformed, is there's just too many vested interests in keeping the way it is. But you know, it happens. It's not a situation that is peculiar to healthcare. You can prevent reform, but you cannot prevent disruption. And I think that's what we're seeing, or are starting to see, in biomedical innovation. Next slide, please. So what are the implications for data sharing? Patients are taking, you know, things on their hands. They got access to those new tools, new research methods. What does it mean for data sharing? Well, it means a lot. And before data sharings can be effective, before it can be implemented, and before that data can be used as it will be used in the future, a number of issues must be addressed. They're non-trivial issues, you know, the infrastructure, who hosts that data, not today and next month, but for until the end of time, basically. This is a costly infrastructure, although the clouds is helping a lot. Who owns the data, who has access to it, who can use it, how to protect the patient's privacy, and who owns the IP generating from this data. So those are serious issues. The IOM started several initiatives to address those. So I think we're generating a good debate there with quality of the ideas that are being put forth to address those. So clearly there are solutions. There are patient-driven solutions. Some patient organizations have already piloted a number of initiatives, and more ideas are being experimented with by other patient organizations. And Faster Cures, whom the organization, many of whom are familiar with, has also played a key role in acting as a clearinghouse for a lot of those initiatives. And if you haven't talked to them, if you're interested in these topics, I urge you to do so. They're acting, I mean, they have done a great job of going out and gathering the various data sharing model that have been proposed and are happy to share it and with whomever is interested. So there are solutions, but patients must continue to speak out. Everything that is happening today, all the progress that we're making in developing alternative and better, faster, cheaper ways of doing clinical research, it's all happening because of the pressure that patients are putting on the system. So we need more of that. Next slide, please. When will all this thing happen? Well, in my view, they will happen very quickly. A lot of the things that we need to transform biomedical research have already been invented. The biosensors and the plug-in devices that I talked about earlier already exist. The cloud exists. Wireless transmission exists. Smartphone, a platform that is central to that system exists. And we also have Watson, the IBM system that embody all the biomedical knowledge ever generated, which can be usefully put to use to stream all that incoming data and help us make sense out of it. That also exists. So it's not really an innovation challenge that we're facing. It's more of an integration challenge, how to align all those pieces so that they can function, they can talk to each other and function in an integrated manner in the way we want them to function. And we've got some very smart people that are working on that integration challenge. The Google, the Samsung, the Apple, the Qualcomm, the Microsoft, and probably a few more are hell-bent on making it happen. They've tried already, maybe got a bit out of themselves a few years back. They're coming back at it, and this time it looks much better. It looks like the pieces are there, the technology is ready. So they can deliver a solution by the end of this decade. There's no question about it. Now, whether that solution will be taken up by the biomedical community, how quickly it will translate into practice, this is something that we will have to see. My guess is that it will be adopted very quickly. There's just too much pressure on the system, on every part of the system, to keep it the way it is. So we will see some major change in biomedical research, in the pharmaceutical industry, and also in the hospital industry yet this decade. And for many of us, it's none too early. This is my concluding slide. If there's some questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.